Thanks a lot for coming in.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Something about this community appeals to you?
This is a wonderful place to live.
For Kelowna Now, this is Kent Mulgat. And we're joined by Olivia Ashley from the Naked Cafe, one of the co-owners.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And a protester. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why we brought you in. We saw some video from this adventure of yours in Armstrong. So you and, what was the group?
The group I was with that day is called Okanagan Animal Save.
Right.
So it's a group of people here in Kelowna. So it's actually not me that plans this, it's this group, and I go along for the ride basically. And yeah, there are similar save movements all over the world that do this type of thing.
Okay, so take me through. This was Monday morning,
Yeah,
4:30 in the morning. You went to Armstrong.
Or I believe it was Tuesday, sorry.
Was it Tuesday? Okay,
Yeah.
Tuesday morning. What happened?
So we woke up at 3:30. We were there around 4:30.
There at a chicken processing
at the chicken
facility
processing
in Armstrong.
facility, waiting quite early. The trucks, I believe, arrive early to avoid seeing people and stuff like that. So we were just basically waiting on the side of the road. We had muffins for the truck drivers if they were willing to stop. Because I mean, this isn't really about them or against anything they're
Right.
necessarily doing,
You
right?
wanted to have some sort of an olive branch to the driver
Yeah.
themselves, who's just doing his job.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing, like, I totally understand people need to make a living. So we also had signs saying, like, no ill feelings towards the truck drivers. Like, please, we're simply asking for 5 minutes. And we have a timer and a timer that goes off to...
So the goal of your protest was these truck drivers are bringing in chickens. You wanted to have them wait for 5 minutes while you engaged them in a conversation about...
Well, not even to, they didn't even have to talk to us, just to see the chickens in there, say goodbye in their last moments, and ultimately just to shed light on the industry to
Right.
other people. I mean,
So it is an attempt to sort of just draw attention to it.
Yeah,
These trucks
shed
come in at
light
4:30 in
on-
the morning and nobody sees them.
Exactly.
But when you look in these trucks, what do you see?
When you look in the trucks, you see hundreds, if not thousands, of chickens in this one truck, and they're all laying there, they're clucking and cooing, and they're so cute. They're all like about this big. They're, I think, like 6 to 7 weeks old, these chickens. And yeah, they're laying there like pretty hopeless. It was freezing, like we were all wearing lots of layers and jackets. It was pitch black outside. Yeah, so it's pretty sad to look in. There's obviously waste dripping down. The smell was horrible.
And it goes from like there's layer upon layer of these
Layer
birds.
upon layer, about 10 stacks high, huge semi-truck. And this is just one shipment. I don't know if they were planning on having other shipments come in that day, but saw
Right.
us there, or if they had come in earlier already. And they, yeah, they ripped those chickens off there pretty quick. Within just a few minutes, the truck was already pulling out and parking in the back.
So boom, 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 in go these cages, get loaded up, taken in, and,
yeah.
and then they're gone to whatever happens next.
Yeah.
So, but you were standing in front of these moving trucks. That sounds a little dangerous.
Yeah, so we ran out there. We were sure we had reflective gear on and stuff for when it's early mornings like this. And I had my cell phone light on. I had the sign saying, like, please stop kind of thing. So it was myself and another
But the driver
woman.
didn't stop. But he went
No.
slow enough so that
Slow
you
enough, but faster than school zone slow, I would say.
Really? So
If
that
I
was a
had to
bit
guess.
hazardous.
It was a bit hazardous. I mean, yeah, there was 2 of us standing out front. The other people were around trying to get some footage of the chickens, and the other girl I was standing with, Terry, she went off to the side and she's like, do you want to go talk to him? I was like, no, you're really good at that. You go and try to talk to him. So I just stood out front. She went to try to...
Did he talk?
No, he just looked straight ahead, like wouldn't even look at her. We think they probably had seen us there in the morning and probably called and warned him maybe.
And their plan was to not engage
I guess so.
and go at a slow
Yeah.
pace. And
Yeah, so I had my hand against the
Right.
grill and I was just like, oh, like had I tripped or something, like it probably wouldn't have been good, but I don't even think he could really see me. Like I could kind of see him, but whatever. So I stood there as long as I could before we kind of realized he was not going to stop. And
so how do you feel about it
myself out
in
of danger.
retrospect? Was this worthwhile? Does it advance the political argument that a vegan might make?
Yeah, I would say it absolutely does. I mean, we've put the videos up, I've had tons of comments and shares on my video. We do this because I understand the farmers, they're making their living, the slaughterhouse workers are making their living.
And people want their chicken still.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So it's the demand, right? If the demand is there, it's there, but if the demand wasn't there, it wouldn't be there. But we just believe that, I don't think like the average person wakes up in the morning and aspires to cause harm.
Right.
To animals or to people.
I think most people who just like eating chicken, they see it at the restaurant or the supermarket and they don't necessarily think about, and you're trying to just maybe get them to think about that, and it might maybe get a conversation going. But okay, so we posted a story about what you did on Kelowna Now. Boy, a lot of negative comments, a lot of pushback. A lot of people think that this is bad what you're doing.
I mean, when you're seeming to threaten something that somebody is so used to doing.
Seeming to threaten the livelihood of the people in the industry. And you're threatening people's lifestyle. You're trying to make people feel bad about the way they live, and so they sometimes do push back.
Yeah, and I mean, our intention isn't to make people feel bad. I have conversations with people, in my cafe, on the street, all day, every day about this kind of thing, and lots of them simply, like, they get defensive to start, but it's like not really about that. I ate meat for 13 years of my life, ate dairy and all that for another few years after that, and I believe that if you see an injustice happening, you kind of, whether it's to people, animals, like you kind of have a moral obligation to do something.
And is that your main motivator as a vegan, is the cruelty element? Because there's also a sustainability question. There's that, there's health issues, but for you, number one is the animal cruelty?
Number one is the animals, and then when I was 13 and I went vegan for that reason, or vegetarian for that reason, it was all the animals. And of course, as you learn all these other things, you're like, oh, like that's pretty cool that you're not contributing to those.
The other ones bolster it, but the main one is the treatment.
The main one is the treatment. I mean, if you or anybody saw a dog being kicked outside or put in a garbage bag and kicked around, like you'd probably like, hey, like stop that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's kind of human nature to be like, oh, like, what are you doing?
We've got pet animals and we've got eating animals, and we kind of keep them compartmentalized.
Yeah,
exactly. So you're involved with the Naked Cafe, and you do something like this, and some people are now angry with you, and these and they might have been potential customers. So is there a cost?
I don't know. I don't see it happening. Like maybe these people that aren't now coming into my cafe, like they probably never had come in the first place. When we first opened that cafe, for the first solid at least year and a half, it was just my sisters and I in there. So we know like so many of our customers obviously very well. Like we've seen babies been born, we've seen people getting married, people passing away, like we've seen so much, like they all know us personally.
And business is growing. And
business is growing. Our customers that are firm customers, like they know us, they know we advocate for the animals, they know that's why we opened the cafe, kind of like to make it mainstream, to just make it normal to not be eating them. And so I think those people stand behind us, or from what I can see anyways, and the ones that don't, I really don't believe that the ones that are now refusing to come in like would have really come in the first place.
Right. So are you personally getting more militant about it?
Yeah, I mean, as it goes, and the more you see the devastating effects on our environment, videos upon videos of local, in Canada, if not in BC, footage of factory farms. I mean, it's very hard not to feel very strongly about that. And you see some vegans, getting angry, like getting upset, and it's very easy to do that because it's a very emotional thing.
You try to keep yourself in check in terms of not...
Yeah, I mean, I'll go home and cry for 6 hours, but in public...
But you don't want to put a
negative,
angry face on what you're doing?
That's not going to get anywhere. You get through to people by being open and leading by example, and like I said, like I'm not this perfect person, like, you know what I mean? Like I do the best I can to cause the least amount of harm.
Does it hurt your feelings, all the kind of mockery and mean things that...
I just think that, even when we're out doing peaceful protest stuff and people will yell things out, it's like, it doesn't hurt me, but I'm like, it's sad because they just have no idea. They don't have the information, so they don't even know how ignorant they're sounding.
Right.
when they say these things. It's like, if you knew the effects, like, oh yeah, I love my bacon, yeah, well, your kids probably also love having like a planet to live on and like clean water to drink, and their health.
So
Yeah.
are we gonna see more of this?
Yeah, I'd say, well, it's been really great because with the cafe, I mean, our Naked Instagram page has over 9,000 followers right now. So even when we do stuff, if we're gonna go to an event and like other people can join us, we'll put it on there, and our stories get over 2,000 views, and we get people coming out. And I've kind of created a little bit more of like a name for myself online. So if I put something on, like, it gets a lot of attention, it gets a lot of comments. So I mean, I just think it's a great opportunity to be able to do something like this, and to
you're running a business and you're part of a movement.
Yeah.
And so, are you making any progress? Do you think there's more vegans now in this community than there were when you opened the restaurant?
Yeah,
How long ago was it now?
For sure. We're in our 4th year now.
So in 4 years, are you pretty convinced that there's people who are vegan now that weren't before?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
partly to do with what you're doing?
I'd say like I wouldn't take any credit for that ever, but I think that the easier it is to go out and buy a vegan food, to go get a latte with coconut whipped cream on it versus going wherever else to get something. And also, we try to keep our prices as like reasonable as we can. Like, I don't think you should have to go somewhere and pay like so much for vegan food versus something else. So just making it accessible to more people, I think, is like huge, and just making it easier for people to switch over to the dark side.
The dark side.
Yeah.
All right, Olivia Ashley, thanks very much for coming in from the Naked Cafe.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.